that? Real tea, no Lipton. Straight facts, no fiction. My prediction, it's addictive. I wish you would tell me the truth.
Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's real good to see y'all again. It's your boy, as always, Torch One Blazing, the host. And I got with me my wife, Shawn. You know, we stay together because we do it together. Today's a really special episode, man. We got a lot of stuff going on in the city and the communities around us that I really wanted to touch on today. So, got a special guest with me today. Got my good friend, my brother, Keon Johnson. Keon Johnson, man, been knowing his brother a real long time, man. If he looks familiar to you, it's because around the city, he does a lot of work, man. He's part of the SAC Cultural Brokers, where fathers help fathers. He's a group facilitator. They help fathers navigate the CPS system as well as the child welfare system. He's the founder of Yours, Mine, and Ours, which is they curate cultural events and spaces for the SAC Unity African Drum Circle. That's where you can go in there, bring your drum out, vibe. Some brothers get a good feeling, you know what I'm saying? Be some good brothers out there really playing, so it's a good circle to tap in. Also part of Brother to Brother support system, where they hold a space for black male development, as well as men wellness, health, and et cetera, and et cetera. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, Mr. Keon Johnson. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, we glad to have you, man. You know, it's a time in the city where we had to sit down and talk, you know, as somebody I know who really has respect for the black community, has respect for self, and really has a voice. People need to hear how you feel about what's going on. I'm going to let my wife kind of bring us in on here, but, babe.
Oh, yeah, so this past week, a couple of tragic events happened close to home and at home. So it reached national news. Tragedy in Stockton. There was a birthday party going on for a 2-year-old, and 4 people were taken out, unfortunately, and there were 11 other people hurt. And when I say taken out, that's because, you know, sometimes YouTube be censoring words. So, you know, taken out, murk, y'all know what it is. But the victims of the tragedy, the ages were 8, 9, 14, and 21, I believe. So we want to say R.I.P. to Maya, R.I.P. to Susano, R.I.P. to Journey, and R.I.P. to Amari, right? And then in Sacramento, pretty much like a few days after that, this former deputy, this former sheriff deputy, I believe it made national headlines. However, he got put out the department because during his patrol, he confiscated some you know, not so good substances from a knock, and took it back while on duty to the actual place of his employment, and he was found laying on the floor unresponsive in the bathroom, right? And it's crazy because I have to pass up this place all the time on my way to work. And this guy, the same guy I'm talking about, he was revived with Narcan, right? Only to pretty much 2 years later, and a few days after this Thanksgiving, right? Or, you know, what some call Thanksgiving, he did something tragic to his 11-year-old son, R.I.P. Mar. So he did something tragic to his 11-year-old son, and his 11-year-old son is no longer alive, no longer living. And the mother, thank goodness, looked at the home security camera and said, hey, let me call 911 because something's going on in my home. And the deputy that I'm talking about, I'm not going to give him no name. I mean, because he don't deserve no fame. He don't deserve no fame. But he left when the authorities came and they chased him. And then during the chase, he lost control because of the strip. And it was officer involved, officer involved with the pew. And the guy, that we're talking about, he passed away at the hospital. So it's a tragic thing, and my heart, my thought, my prayers go out to this family, because the wife is still living here, the mother's still living here, and the 6-year-old daughter who was actually in the home while this took place. Yeah. So, you know, Brother Keon, you're an active voice in this community. You're a respected voice in this community. People actually take you serious and heed what you have to say. You know, what is it about our youth, or, you know, what is it about the adults that, you know, have to interact with these youth and deal with certain things in the atmosphere? You know, what's going on?
Yeah, first, rest in peace to them babies.
Yeah.
My condolences to the families involved. It's a tragic loss. Everybody if you had a heart, you felt it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're a human being, worse if you're a parent, you know. But if you just have to be human. So we all felt that. It's real tragic, and we still feeling the effects of that.
Yeah.
You know, it ends up on the social medias, and I posted it, and a friend of mine was like, you know, that was my nephew. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh wow. You know, and it just shows me how we all more connected than we think. Right. You see random things, but we forget that humanity is a network. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
And we all connected, and you never really know how you connected until you know. I would have known that was a friend of mine's nephew had I not done that, and he was like, yo, that was my nephew. Yeah, man. So my condolences to the family and RIP to the victims.
Yeah.
You know, how we get here, I don't think it's not on the youth per se.
Right.
You know, there's choices and things, but there's systems in place, and you know, it's kind of like a rabbit hole if we really want to peel the layers back. So I just said it to say we didn't just end up here.
Right.
We didn't just end up here in terms of the culture,
right?
In terms of the time, in terms of our intake and media and music, and you know, I remember that there was a point where you had you could tell regionally where people were from. Yeah. Right? New York was New York, Chicago was Chicago. Everybody had their own flavor. Now when you look at these, they all look like they're from one you know, one space. You couldn't unless they open their mouth and had an accent, you wouldn't know who's from where.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a uniform going on all across the nation. I think our youth are always very vulnerable and very impressionable and very malleable.
Yeah.
And you know, we had our turn at that too when we were young and impressionable, and mimicking what society and the culture was, right? Yeah. So I think we have to look at where the culture is in reality. I think every previous generation had something to do with the outcome of the next generation. So our hands are not clean. We might not be out there doing it, you know, but our hands are not clean in that insofar as those are our babies. Yeah. Those are our sons. Those are our nephews. Right. Again, we all connected. Like, you know, we open a conversation. So there's a bunch of different avenues and roads in terms of how we got here. It wasn't just one lane. And I think that in itself deserves to be examined and studied, and everybody take accountability for our role and where our children, because again, these are our children, right? You know, I mean, they're young adults at this point, but you know, I'm old enough right now to, and we're old enough right now to, where some of our children can be 25 and 30.
Well, that was going to be my question to you. Was how old is your oldest?
My oldest son will be 21. Today's the 4th, in about Today's the 5th. So about 7 days, he'll be 21.
Oh, and then how old is your youngest?
My youngest will be born in May 2026.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Yeah.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. So my daughter's 26 years old.
Right.
So, and I say that because I had her very young. You know what I mean? I pretty much fresh out of high school.
Right.
A few people had kids fresh out of high school.
Mostly all my peers. I was a late bloomer.
Well, but
in a sense,
because once I got out of my immediate neighborhood, not as many people were having kids young because they were all trying to go to college,
right,
or they were, or that was that boom of everybody was trying to be an athlete or be in shape, or women were trying to have six packs. They weren't necessarily in a rush to be housewives. They wanted to explore these degrees they were earning, and these opportunities were opening up.
Yeah.
So a lot of our peers' children, I see, are doing a lot of great things. I see a lot of peers' children who were born to young parents who had to grow up early, they kind of go both ways. I see some that are doing very well for themselves, some are very responsible, but I see some that are also involved in some things that are you wish you didn't see.
Right.
You know, and so when you say, you know, it's on us, I truly believe that because you have on one hand, and literally can come from the same grandparents. You have one household who keeps their kids on this track and focused, you know, and helping them adjust to the times. Where we had college to look forward to, they might not necessarily have that because college doesn't necessarily produce more than debt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're teaching them skill sets. They're teaching them how to work. They're teaching them how to be entrepreneurs. And then you have some households that are just like, I don't want to adapt. You just got to figure it out yourself because I don't know anything else. And so it's hard for me, like you said, I can't blame the youth, you know, but I can look at the lack of options that are out there to try to lead these kids to do. Because while you want everybody to go to college and get a great degree, everybody can't be the CEO.
Right.
I mean, everybody can't be the president. You know, somebody's going to have to be the worker.
And we're at the point right now where, like, nobody wants to be the worker.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everybody want the fame. Everybody want the money. Everybody, just based on the standards of where society is right now. You know what I mean? And again, our babies are most impressionable. This is the first generation where you see, like, young people richer than adults.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
real talk, playing video games,
Right.
you know, music, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way the world is shifting, monetary gain is and money and all, and we can't ignore where the role outside of gang culture, right?
Right.
You know, it's money, gangs, death, women. It's a whole bunch of stuff. And we can't ignore the money part neither, because that's part of the lore.
Yeah.
That's
the
part
game.
of this concoction of where our youth are. That plays out in something like outside. You know, because this was really turf politics, but it was so much more
Right.
that went into that.
Do you think, real quick, do you think them having this much more cash flow enhances their aggression? Because now you have the money to kind of back up that tough talk. Now you can go buy the guns. You can go look the part. You can afford to, like, impress enough young, impressionable other young people to follow behind you now. And so now where they're, you know, I hate to say it this way, but where there used to be a structure in a gang, there's now real, true lawlessness.
Because money represent also the access to that capital represents a certain amount of freedom.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I could do for myself, provide for myself, I ain't really got to answer to nobody.
Right.
Because I'm a self-sustained, you know, what you really gonna tell me?
Right.
Mom, dad, you know, what and we know, you know, we come from a culture where this still, you gonna respect that.
Right.
But everybody ain't built how we built and have the same morals and things of that nature.
You know, I do got something to add and a question after that. So you said it's on us. So I know some of these, some of the youth were talking about the ages range starting in the gang culture from about probably 11, 12 on up to their early 20s, right? And I know the frontal lobe of a human being doesn't really develop and start to make wise choices until they're like 25 years old, right? So when does it become a time where we actually guide, we actually instill the skills, we instill the morals, the values, the standards, the ethics, right? When does that actually start to permeate into the mind, where when they get of age, that they're now responsible for their choices? You know, when does it get to that point?
So everybody's different, you know. I got a 5-year-old son, and his emotional intellect, it starts as soon, I think, as the individual can handle it and can get it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But always, I think the earlier the better, right? The earlier the better. What we pour into, I feel like culture is cure, you know what I mean? And Sankofa says, I think, tapping into, because a lot of this culture, you know what I mean? Can we talk freely in here?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Free reign.
All right, just want to say, all right, so
speak your heart.
I want to say, like, nigga culture, the way we surviving, it's become a survival. You know, right? I think niggas is Africans in survival mode, you know, without direction. I think culture is cure, and culture will rope us back in. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think we have a real culture to anchor us. I think culture is our anchor and our compass, right? Your
Right.
culture is going to ground you and going to direct you. And I think we overlook the role that reclaiming our culture can really, the effect that reclaiming our culture can have in changing our whole direction. You know what I mean? Direction.
Right.
I think that's part of it. That's not everything, because some people ain't got no time for that. When you in survival mode, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You niggas don't want to hear about no culture, but I really believe that's part of our cure.
So it's funny you say survival mode, and that's actually a beautiful segue to the other topic of tonight. These kids got to be in survival mode. I mean, look at the people they're putting badges on.
Man.
They put a badge on the man that arrested somebody for drugs, right?
Well,
So,
he didn't even get arrested. He just got a citation, man.
yeah, you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
he stole
Made the stop,
Yeah.
took the drugs from the guy.
It ain't what you
Right.
thought it was.
So you
Right.
the moral police, right? Because you done busted him for doing drugs, and you finna make him go to court. Then took his drugs and went to your job, not somewhere else,
Right.
not around the corner. You went to the bathroom at your
At
job,
work, you was a straight
At
dope.
work.
Man.
and
Straight
you were
fiend.
comfortable enough to do this, which means it
Boom.
wasn't your first time.
Yeah.
You were
Right.
comfortable enough to do this and knocked yourself out.
Man.
And they had to come in there, and when you seen the video, your
Yeah.
body looked.
It was
looked
terrible. It was
horrible.
just, yeah.
And I'm mad
Look
'cause
at you, fool.
Not
on the gr-
at you for what you did to yourself, because you putting our city on the news for this mess.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And now I'm looking at the youth out here, and I'm like, this is what y'all got to deal with, because
Right.
these are supposed to be the people keeping.
This is what
the
we all
laws.
got to deal with, because
Right.
it pulled me over too.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
That,
mean?
that's supposed to be a job with some honor and some integrity first and foremost, right?
yeah. But I mean, think about what I just said to you.
Yeah.
This man was comfortable enough
Yeah.
to take something from somebody
Yeah.
because he knew, what are you going to say? Who's going to believe you? Then he was still comfortable enough to go to his work where there's 1,000 of them in one building
Right. That part.
Go
and,
figure.
and fire up
Go
and
figure.
do it
Yeah.
in the bathroom where other people could come in.
Right. You think the training, like was some sort of mental capacity test or something, like what strenuous training or rigorous training do these people have to go through, before they get that badge? Like
Yeah, what kind of mental health assessment, what kind of
Yeah.
background checks, what kind of weekly, monthly screenings do they go through, what kind of stress tests? Yeah, they need more to uphold that job and that position, and you walk around with it with your chest out.
Man.
I think these people need to like you said, it needs to be rigorous,
Yeah.
because they are entrusted with the life. They are the only people on the planet, not even the president, who can who has the right and the license to shoot you and kill you.
man.
You know what I mean? They're a small group of. It's not, and
They own
walk
game.
around, yeah, but and walk around with that kind of power though.
Right.
Yeah, it needs to be real rigorous,
Yeah.
rigorous. That was a shame. And then, like you said, and then following that same character, you know what I mean? To take out your own child,
Your own
flesh
son.
and blood.
Right.
You looked in your own son's face and took his life. And again, to think this person was entrusted to operate in our communities,
In the
and-
home.
Because if you could do your own baby like that,
Right.
I ain't worth
Yeah.
nothing,
Man,
you know?
nothing at all. Like, you're not even gonna have a second thought about what you would do to me or my family or anybody out here on these streets. I don't even care if they look like me. You wouldn't care what they look like.
Yeah.
If you do that to your own child, you'll do that to anybody.
Anybody can get
Anybody.
it. Yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been saying for years. It's like, look, pay attention to who you're giving this power to.
Yeah.
Because you're giving this power to people who are abusing it, and it's driving them crazy.
Yeah, it broke my heart, yo.
Yeah, I do want to say I'm sitting here in the midst of 3 young black men, right? All fathers, all very active and participating in their children's lives, right? Even up to the point where your children are grown adult children and you're still active, you're still involved, right? So you all, I know, want to uphold this standard of protection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're now considered an OG. You're the standard of protection, right? How do we, like outside of your men's wellness,
Mm-hmm.
how do we start making sure that young men, young black men, like who I'm surrounded by, you, Keon, you, my husband, Cousin Warren, Cousin Warren in the background, how do we start producing more of you all? How do we start producing more fathers who want to be actually married, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we produce more people such as yourselves to be in these homes so that we can counteract people like we're talking about?
I think good people with good intentions who's ready to do the work got to find each other, and we got to come together. We got to do the work. At any given time, there's always more civilians and good citizens than it is any gang number. You know, it might be 10,000 gang members. You better believe it's like 10 million people who's not in the gang. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If the cop force is 50,000, you better believe it's 500,000 civilians. So I said to say we always outnumber the opposition.
Okay.
Let's say the ops,
Right.
whether they be gangs or cops, right? These people who are causing harm and danger to our neighborhood, making our communities unsafe. I think it's important for us, and I really feel like as men to lead. You know what I mean? The microcosm to the macrocosm, like what's going on in the fatherless homes, is the same thing in the manless streets. Mm-hmm. Right? Men are not stepping up. Men are not coming together. Men are. Cause I got a couple homies and they, you know, used to be active and shit, and they joke around and be like, man, I'm scared of these young niggas. I ain't fuck with these young, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I you know, in a comical sense, I get it, but what? Mm-hmm. What? You know what I mean? No, I think it takes the collective. Mm-hmm. I think at this point, we have to tap into our creativity, tap into our ancestry, tap into culture, and find out what that thing is that would bring us together to kind of come and combat that. Our communities are only as safe as the men in the communities. Yeah. And you know, whether men be the protectors or it be the ones who's the offenders, or it's only as safe as the men. So how are we showing up in community in terms of we just gonna sit back and watch this, or are we gonna come back with a counter plan? And I'm not saying go into no shootout with young, there's different ways that we could be tactful, diplomatic, decent, human, because still take an element of humanity and love to come. You can't fight fire with fire, because if I go out there and I try to quell some shit, it's gonna look like two niggas. You can't tell who's who, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. We have to differentiate ourselves from that. Mm-hmm. It got to feel like the culture, but it can't mirror the culture. Right. How can we as a collective come together, be creative, be human, be loved, but be serious about our mission too? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because they serious. Yeah. So those are the questions, and I think those are the charges that we face with.
Well, I'll say, as we wrap up for today's show, and again, thank you for spending time with us and having this conversation. I think it's real important for people to hear these conversations from men, not people who are emotional or tied to these streets, but people who are tied to the people in the streets that they want to see live well and do better. I'll say, to finish off, what we do is we have a space where these young people can come. Mm-hmm. They can be themselves. They can tell their story. They can make music. They can be creative. They can do anything they want to do. Yeah. What you do and what you offer, and what I would like you just to kind of let people know where they can find you at, is offer your space with the drummer circle, with the men's wellness. So, before we go, just let everybody know where they can find you at, some of the things you have coming up, and just give them a little bit of information about where they can reach out to you.
Well, I hold a lot of I curate cultural spaces for healing and just African-centered for us, safe spaces for us to tap back into culture and wellness and a whole lot of black shit.
Love it.
Yeah. So every second Sunday we do an African drum circle, and we've been doing that for like 4 years. Normally we at a state farm, And right now, during this season, while it's rainy, you know, the State Farm is outside. So right now, you can find us at we're gonna be holding space indoor at the Shakur Center. That's on Broadway. I forget the address, but the Shakur Center on Broadway.
The Shakur Center. It's spelled SHAKUR.
Yep.
Okay.
It's named after the Shakurs. And Men's Wellness Fellowship. We at Creole Soul. I can't remember if every last Tuesday or Monday or every first Tuesday or Monday. You know, I'm a little tired right now.
Yeah.
You can find it online. Believe me, you see the promoted everywhere.
Yeah, the Men's Wellness Fellowship, Sacramento, because they do it in Oakland too.
Oakland as well, right?
Yeah. And those are two spaces that you could tap in with me immediately. We're going to be bringing a space called Black Men Maroon Space to Sacramento. We plugged in with a national group called Black Men Build. We're trying to look about hubbing here. And those will be linked through my organization, Yours, Mine, Ours, YMO, Yours, Mine, Ours. And under that, we run a program, Brother to Brother Support System and Rites of Passage, where we just developing black male-centered development and, young and old.
Yes. So what's your IG or your Facebook?
Thank you. IG, I1, letter I, number 1, Master Key. And YMO, Yours, Mine, Ours. YMO _, Yours, Mine, Ours is my IGs. And Keon on Facebook. I ain't gonna get my whole government. If you can find me, you can find me. Yeah,
right.
But I'm not hard to find. I'm with the people. I'm outside. And again, I just want to say it takes all of us.
Yeah.
I think it's a space now that's calling for black men to lead. I believe when black men change, like the whole world changed overnight. You know, our women been holding it down for a long time. It's time for black men to come home, be the men that we supposed to, and we gonna change the world. Black Americans specifically. We in a peculiar space of leadership. The whole world watches us. It's black American culture that's the export to everywhere in the world. I think when we set the tone and set the trend, everything changes overnight. Everything. Off top, but that's just another thing. And our women be right there with us. It's a family affair.
Right
Very
there.
well
It's a
said.
family affair.
Yeah.
Very well said. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you guys once again for tuning in to our Wish You Was podcast. I want to thank my lovely wife, Shanshan. I want to thank my partner, Brother Keon, for stepping in and having the conversation with us. Saying, as always, subscribe, like, comment, share, tap in. And pretty soon we're going to have it to where you can reach out to us live on chat. So stay prepared for that. And until next time, I wish you would.
Wish you would.
Watch another podcast. Tune in here. Good night.